Welcome to the Directions Mag Geoinspirations Podcast Series with Joseph Kerski.
Well, greetings, everyone. Joseph Kerski here with another installment of the Geoinspirations Podcast. I'm so excited about today's podcast, and I know you will too, because I have here with me Sona Guliyeva. Sona, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kerski. Thank you so much for invitation. I appreciate you.
We are very happy to have you. For the benefit of the listeners, if you could describe what's your current position and then a bit about how you journeyed into that position.
Currently, I work as GIS trainer at Space Agency of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Azercosmos. And at the same time, I am a lecturer at National Aviation Academy, where I am doing my doctorate in remote sensing. I have voluntary works with Aspire Student Consortium and with environmental company in Azerbaijan as Green.
And you've got multiple roles there, and that's fascinating. I think a lot of times I hear from students, hey, can I work while I'm getting my master's or PhD? How does that work for you? How do you juggle working at the space agency and you're a full-time university student?
Because they have general point and they are similar, this work. I love my work and I cannot feel this difficulty. I just exciting from this work, because when you love study and educate and teach and study new things, meet new people from all the world, it's so different feeling, amazing.
You know, you're touching on something that we were going to pick apart later on, but I'm glad you're jumping right into that. And that is being passionate about what you do and loving what you do. I realize there are a lot of listeners that may be stuck in their, or feel like they're stuck in their position, but we want to encourage the listener to think about what would bring you joy in helping others, meeting people all over the world. And so that's one of the purposes of this whole Geoinspirations podcast, is to get people thinking, what could I do in my career? Well, how could I adjust my current pathway to pursue perhaps some of what Sona is saying today? So I'm right with you. Pursue something that you really enjoy, and then it won't really seem like work. Sure, you'll have challenging days and challenging times, but pursue something that brings you joy.
So honestly, sometimes it's difficult. There is a difficult part when you should do tasks from different main work and do another works for voluntary works. But you need to try, you need to time manage this works, these tasks. I like from my work, it's I can learn new things and I can meet new people and I can meet my students' success. It's a very great honor for me. It makes me happy.
That's very well said, and appreciate you sharing that. Speaking of international connections, we met through a international scholarly society about maybe a year and a half ago on a conference call on Zoom. Could you describe that organization through which we met and what your role is in that organization?
The pandemic situation makes another experience for me, because when you sit at home, it was possible this time period where we live to participate in different conferences and meet people from all the world, from all parts of the world. I met you in one of these meetings, event where we organized with the Aspire Student Consortium, our friends and colleagues from this society, and it was virtual rooms meetings. It was amazing that possible to make a network during this situation too, as I experienced is confirmed that. But in reality, it's different, and in this online, in this virtual life, it also have some advantages too. You can sit in your place and meet different people from all world and make great network and have a like-minded friends and colleagues.
Good points. The situation that everyone in the world has been in since early 2020 has been a severe challenge. On the bright side, though, as you're pointing out, we have maybe networked as never before. And we realize that we need each other, and this community needs to form alliances and partnerships and colleagues where we can advance GIS, remote sensing, et cetera, in new and innovative ways. And so, as another example, the ESRI user conference went from about 20,000 people face to face when we were all gathered in San Diego, California, USA. And the last 2 years, it's been 60,000, 80,000 people. So it's been 3 or 4 times larger because it's been virtual. We still miss the hallway conversations and that sort of thing, but it has allowed, and other conferences and associations as well, has allowed a lot more people with a wider diversity of backgrounds to gather and start networking and saying, hey, let's partner on this article together or this project. So I agree with you. It's been a very interesting time. And I think it's, as never before, we really realize that we need each other in the community to move all of these agendas forward. That's very well said. So that was the International Society for Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing. Yes, explain that student chapter, that student component.
Yes, I agree that it is very difficult still situation for all world. But if not this online distance organization of such events, I think that maybe I will never meet so many people in GIS and remote sensing. For me, it was very good experience. About Aspirus, I would like give short information maybe about Aspirus student consortium, where teams of young professionals in remote sensing, photogrammetry, and geoinformation system from different countries. Main purpose to gain this field, to promote geoinformation science in the world, to help another people, to young professionals, to participate in such events and learn and gain their knowledge in this field. When I have started, it was in 2019 year from May. It was not a pandemic situation from May, but I never meet them in real life. I never had opportunity to see them. I seen only one members, one our colleagues, when I was in Turkey in symposium. But for example, I never seen Cheryl or Charm in real life. It was for me distance work was from starting 2019 year when I have started my voluntary work with Aspirus Student Consortium.
Yeah, it is a different environment, and perhaps in the resources that you share with the listeners, one of the links can be how they can get involved in the student component of the association. That would be great, the young professionals. I would also like to remind the listeners that there's other young professional associations in geotechnology, one of which I'm rather fond of, the ESRI Young Professionals Network. They are a dynamic group of people from all over the world. As Sona is saying, in the past, when we've gathered in San Diego, they were a very vibrant, face-to-face component, but they still are extremely active in our virtual world of today. So that's the ESRI Young Professionals Network. How about this, Sona? Let me ask you the following. We touched on it a bit ago. Could you describe what your duties are at the Cosmos Space Agency?
Currently, I am a GIS trainer, but I am also participating in different projects regarding to using geospatial data in GIS. For example, for environmental protection, for agriculture, and other projects. But mostly I like new knowledge. When I have participated in such project, it helped me to make some more practical knowledge. And it is easiest to teach these things when you have already practical knowledge, and it helps me. And as a GIS trainer, in this pandemic situation, we also make distance learning. We had internship program with a different university from in Azerbaijan. And at last, in this month, we conclude internship program with ITC student from University Twente. He is also our mentee in Iceberg Student Consortium. It helped us make a network with him. And he asked me about the possibility of internship online in our department. One of this work, what I do here, it's manage this internship program to change knowledge provide this knowledge what I gain here to another one, and also at the same time to get new knowledge, meet new people, new students who love and who like to learn new things. It inspires me.
You know what's inspiring is that here you are, a young professional, and you're already giving back to the young professional community. You're already mentoring others. Yes. with this program. That's very impressive. Tell us a little bit about what the organization Azercosmos, is that how I pronounce it?
Azercosmos.
Azercosmos. Yes. Tell us a bit about what the organization does, how many employees are there, what the mission is.
We're a space agency, a satellite operator in South Caucasus. We have already in Azerbaijan 3 satellites. And Azercosmos operates this satellite. 2 of them are telecommunication satellite, and one of them is Earth observation satellite, Azersky. We have employed more than 100 persons, and in our department there is more than 10 persons. We are not so big team, but we're trying to do big things.
Well, it's impressive that you've already landed a post in a very prestigious organization while you're still a student. So I think that is impressive right there. Also, if you could tell the listeners what exactly is your PhD doctorate title for your dissertation? What's your main focus there?
When it's asking PhD about his work, it makes them more maybe sometimes stressful, but because
you're right in the thick of it. Yes, I've been there, and I understand fully where you're coming from there.
It's difficult to find time for your own work. It's for teachers. It's maybe you take attention more to students' work, but at the end to your own work. I understand when I have started my teaching career, my education is as a PhD. I continue my education in National Aviation Academy, where I have graduated from my master's degree. It was my master's degree from beginning. I have started my education in environmental engineering in Azerbaijan State Oil and Industry University with specification in oil sector. And after I continue my education in master degree in National Aviation Academy with specialization in airspace study, airspace monitoring of environment. When I have started in National Aviation Academy, I understood that its place, its field, what I would like to continue all my life with GIS, because I remember that when I opened a GIS program, and I seen this different vector and satellite image, how to do vectorization, how to create maps. I couldn't stop, and still I cannot stop. Currently, I decided that I should continue my education in PhD, and my PhD is in airspace, remote airspace study. It's name of specialization here, such as remote sensing and GIS, foreign specialization similarity. And my main purpose in my PhD is application of remote sensing data in agriculture, in environmental protection. Firstly, I selected topics for using remote sensing data for agriculture, for crop yield detection, forecasting. But when I continue my practical works in this field, I understood that I should continue from where I have started, from in environmental study, application environmental study, especially for environmental problem using GIS and remote sensing for solving environmental issue.
I think you're sharing something that I have noticed globally, talking with people in geotechnologies, remote sensing, et cetera. And that is when you said, you just can't stop. You love this technology and you love what it can do for people and the planet. You very seldom meet anyone in geotechnologies that says, oh, that was interesting for a while, but I've moved on. It's now boring to me, or it doesn't appeal to me anymore. People, once they start using this and seeing the possibilities, and of course, GIS is advancing and remote sensing is advancing along with them and along with their own learning, they can't stop. They cannot stop, just like you very well articulated. They get really passionate about the possibilities and the technology and the decisions, the smarter decisions that you can make with the technology and combining, like you said, the different layers of information. It's just fascinating. And so I think you're right on. And I'm totally in agreement with you that I've been using GIS for most of my career, and I'm just as excited about it now as when I was an undergraduate. What about this, Sona? How many languages do you speak?
My native language is Azerbaijani and Lezgi. Maybe many people know Lezgi language. It is a language, old language from people from Dagestan. It's located in Russia territory, but it's also Caucasus region.
Mm-hmm.
And I know two of my native language, my father and my mother language, and my education was in Russian language, as you know, where was in a country in history. If you look to history of Azerbaijan, we had Russian language as also as one of the native language, and my education was in Russian, and as a foreign language in school year I learned French language. And after, when I have started my education in university, when I have started to learn exactly when I have started remote sensing and GIS, I understood that I should learn and read books in English. I have met many foreign people. I have started to find people for exchange language skill. And I found people from Australia, and I still talk with them. It is old people he lives with his wife in a forest in Australia, and he learned Russian language. I helped him sometime learning in Russian language, and he helped me learning in English language. 5 language.
That's impressive, very impressive. And I'm wondering, has your background, your multilingual background, influenced, your desire to learn about the world through remote sensing and GIS? I mean, has there been any influence, since you have these international experiences and speak multiple languages? Has that influenced you in your sort of global outlook in any way?
It's very good. Understood. Sometimes when I see people from different regions, for example, we understand also Turkish language. It's similar as like in Azerbaijan language. As I know, you also know some words from Turkish and Azerbaijani.
I've been to Istanbul for a GIS conference. That was one of the best conferences I've ever attended, because it was international, and of course, Turkey is the crossroads of the world in many ways, right? You think about the people that have migrated through there, the empires that have come from there over the centuries. It's just fascinating as a geographer to be in a place like that. I've not ever been to Azerbaijan. Someday I would love to, but I think it's just fascinating how you at an early age sort of had this international experience through language, through travel, etc. What is your career goal? Do you want to stay in the space agency that you're working in now? Do you want to be a researcher in a university? I mean, what are some of the things you're thinking about, as you get toward finishing your doctorate?
I have very big dreams.
Big dreams are good. Big dreams are good.
I have really big dreams. That one thing that I understand every year, you shouldn't stop. You just need to go step by step. And not of these dreams I have, I would like to grow step by step. What I can say for this time, I like this current position. I enjoy this position, but I have plans. I have many plans. Maybe they will realize in near future, maybe.
Well, thanks for sharing a bit with us about that. I think it's important for people to realize that, you know, as a young professional, you're in a good position already, but you keep dreaming about the future, and making those goals is important. When are you going to be finished with your doctorate?
That I would like finish my doctorate as soon as possible. Next year will be officially last year of my PhD, and I hope that it will be possible to finish. And one of my big dreams is to be a professor, maybe academician.
Mm-hmm. So academia is one of the things you're thinking about. Okay.
Yes.
Well, if it's any consolation and any encouragement, I was working full time when I was working on my doctorate as well. So it can be done. It's as you touched on earlier, it's a challenge when you're working full time and seeking to finish your research. It is a challenge, but it can be done. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
In achieving that goal. It will happen. Yep. Keep your eye on the goal. As a fairly new geospatial professional yourself, what's your advice to a new professional? You touched on this a bit in our conversation, remote sensing, GIS. What's your advice to people saying, hey, can I get into this field as well?
What I say always to my students, that of course you can. Just think that you can do that. And don't be afraid to do these things, to learn. Take this time. Just don't stop. You should secret it. The art of small steps. Think that you need to start from first step, and it will enrich your dream in reality. It is possible, I think, that if you believe in it.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. I very much do. You know, speaking of learning and being a lifelong learner and keeping, you know, your horizons open, do you have a few key resources that you would advise people to pursue? I mean, you touched on getting involved in the professional society, but do you have a few books, websites, resources, videos? What do you use to keep moving forward in geospatial technology? What are your favorite few resources?
For resources, and of course, firstly, I also will advise Aspire Student Consortium website, because for young professional, you can find here different opportunity for participating in events, geospatial event, and through an SRE community. Community education portal. If we will speak about there are a lot of so many websites, so many useful links and books. Every time when you Google and you find, maybe sometimes it is the same books, but you already downloaded them. Seen this website, this paper. There are main of them which I like. This is also change.com, and also from the different posts from the NASA. So I liked maps of night lights on the roads.
Yeah,
there
I like that one as well.
Yes, and I'm not sure if difference between using on which processing geospatial data for that. I have seen in ArcGIS maps, such as map.
Yep, there's a layer in the Living Atlas of the World that is the nighttime lights layer.
Yes, and Black Marble from NASA.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Perhaps in the paragraphs that accompany this podcast, you can share some of those specific URLs that are your favorites. Was there a professor, a book, an experience that you had as a young person that sort of nudged you into and encouraged you in this journey that you've been on?
There are so many people which inspired me. Each person with whom I worked felt me that I do what I should do in my life. Also, I can name many of them, but mostly inspired me person is Professor Gottfried Konechny. He is a person who was with NASA during mapping about a lunar landing site for the Apollo program. I have seen him during the virtual room events online. It's amazing. What a good time where we live. I have met where I live in my little discreet person who participated in moon mapping long year ago. His energy, his love for life and science have been transported even through the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And also, today is my birthday, and
awesome! Congratulations!
Thank you so much.
Nice of you to spend some time with us on your birthday.
It's a very good time that you selected for our.
You could have said, "Hey, Joseph, I'm busy celebrating today. Thank you very much." But this is great. Well, happy birthday!
Thank you so much. It is a good chance for me to say that my internal gratitude to my parents. It is they are more inspired people for me. They always support and inspire me. They give me this opportunity to live, to enjoy every day.
No, I love that. We do owe a lot to even family members, mentors in our pathway, most definitely. Speaking of space, I wrote about the Mars 3D viewer not too long ago. That is just, to me, that is just a fascinating tool to learn about science, astronomy, GIS, remote sensing, because you've got this 3D immersive experience and you can measure things. Like you could put Azerbaijan on top of Olympus Mons, or you could put Russia on top of the Valles Marineris and compare sizes. And, Mars isn't a very big planet, right? But it's got some huge volcanoes, canyons, plains, craters. It's just amazing. It's an amazing tool to introduce people. For the listener, if you want to get people excited about GIS and remote sensing, that Mars 3D viewer, which is based on the ArcGIS API. And so ESRI worked on it with US Geological Survey. But it's just a fascinating, it's fun. So you can even share it with family members. It's that engaging. It's like they don't have to be GIS people. It's just running on the web. You've got a 3D immersive experience. And it shows also that GIS and remote sensing are not just on the Earth, right? They're for Ganymede, they're for Mars, they're for, as you touched on, the moon. And so there's no limit to GIS, right? It expands to the limit of what we know in the universe. That's fascinating. Okay, here's a question as we sort of close out our time together. And again, I'm very grateful for the time that you spent with us, especially on your birthday. What do you think the community, remote sensing, mapping, cartography community, science community, what do you think is most important for our world to be working on in our 21st century world?
What I would like say, it is about GIS firstly. For me, as a teacher, as a person who continue his career in education, it's big things what I need to do always before my lecture, that to make presentation, to make more easy. That when I try to do that very difficult things to make them more simple, to change with them with people, and even if he is not in geospatial science, even if he does not understand what is a GIS, make it more easy way. Community, GIS, geospatial community, we need to work together to make more easiest, maybe platform, more friendly platform. I'm not sure, maybe there is already such a platform, but it's difficult to explain what I think, what I realize, what I imagine about that.
Yeah, I understand where you're going a bit with this. the world is a complex place, right? With complex problems, and we're never going to get to the point where it's easy to solve 21st century issues of climate and population change and deforestation and all the other ocean acidification, all the other issues and problems that the world is dealing with. On the other hand, if we want to get additional people in different fields involved with making wiser Earth decisions, we do need to have some software that's approachable by those communities. There are advances, especially with WebGIS. I'm thinking ArcGIS Online, fairly approachable, nothing to install. You can introduce it to someone. They can say, okay, I know how to add layers, and I can change the symbology, and I can change the classification method, and I can bring in imagery and look at different spectral bands. We have another tool called Business Analyst Web, which again is a web-based, software as a service tool that I and others use with business students. They can make maps of the competition. They can make consumer preference maps, demographic choropleth maps, infographics, story maps, things like that. So it's very approachable. It's not all of GIS, but it's the GIS that they care about specifically to make smarter business decisions. So there are emerging tools that are encouraging to me and probably to you as well, that are at least somewhat easier than some large GIS or remote sensing package that just a few people understand, a smaller number of people understand, because they really need to go into deep detail and deep investigation. So it's kind of encouraging to see those web-based geospatial software sets to try to get at what you're talking about, getting other people that may not be experts into making smarter decisions with geospatial technology. Yeah, yes. I'm right with you. Very well said.
Geoinformation technology is progressing every day, and we have always something to learn. That's one of the advantages, maybe.
True. Keep learning, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and encouraging, which I think you are a great example of, other people and mentor other people to get into this field and encourage them, tell them that they can do it. Absolutely. Gosh, this has been wonderful, Sona. I appreciate it. Tell the listener, if you don't mind, where your office is, where you're conducting this interview from today.
In Baku city, capital of Azerbaijan Republic, and my hometown.
The listeners of this podcast are all very, geographical in nature. And I always like to ask people, exactly where you are so that people can visualize, okay, I know where Azerbaijan and Baku, I know where that is. I know where the Caspian Sea is. It's very interesting because it's not actually a sea, right? It's an inland lake is really what it is. But it's one of those geographical wonders on our planet that it's not very deep, right? It's fairly shallow.
Environmental problem regarding with Caspian Sea. It's due to climate change, rising water level, and water shortage, and that's why there is also problem which we can also learn with using GIS again. And also there is also one of the project where I have participated during in office. It was as you know, there is also a river, Kura River. In the delta of Kura River, we learned that there is intrusion of sea water with this river, and that's a big problem for pupils. And geospatial science may help us.
Absolutely, it's another example of there's a local, regional problem that actually a lot of people around the world experience. Yes. And as you know, one of the UN Sustainable Development Goals is water quality and water quantity. And that's something that my region is encountering too. Wildfires, droughts. How are we going to sustain population growth when we don't have enough water? And just by the way, just to the west of me is the Great Salt Lake that is somewhat, it's a lot smaller than the Caspian Sea, but it's got some similar, issues as well. So, that's what joins us all together. We have similar problems and issues that we are dealing with around the world. And as you well articulated, geospatial technologies can help us to solve those problems and also bind us together as a community. Sona, it is so wonderful to have you as part of our geospatial community and as a part of this Geoinspirations podcast library. And I would just encourage the listener to look at the other Inspirations podcasts as well as Sona Guliyeva. We very much appreciate having you on here today, especially because it was your birthday.
Everything is possible in this lab. And I would like note again, thank you so much for your invitation. It was great present for my birthday.
Well, we very much appreciate your work and all that you shared today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Teach me how to say thank you in Azerbaijani.
Çok sağ olun.
Çok,
Çok sağ olun.
sağ olun.
Or you can say as in Turkish. Teşekkürler. Teşekkür ederim.
Teşekkür ederim in Turkish, right?
It is the same in Azerbaijan. Çok sağ olun, it means be always health. Be health.
Mm-hmm. Çok,
it can be translated.
çok
yes.
sağ olun.
You can say teşekkür ederim. It's the same teşekkür ederim in Turkish.
Fascinating. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that as well. It's one more bit of geographical knowledge that is much appreciated. Yeah, look forward to further collaboration with you, Sona.
Yes.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.